All right, save it for the podcast. Save it for the podcast. All right. Buongiorno, beautiful beings, and welcome to a very special episode of the Talkin Ball podcast. Making their way to the couch, 6'7", from Lilydale High School and Deakin University. Now representing Noel Jones, Juan Turner, real estate. Number 5, Michael Hill. And at power forward, 6'9".
Oh, Jesus.
From Diamond Creek.
Generous.
Via Bartlett High School, Bradley University, and the University of San Diego. Number 34. From Prime Athletes, Cameron Rigby.
Thank you, mate. Went with the Bendigo number, 34.
Both Bendigo numbers, boys.
Yeah.
Championship in 07.
It had to be. It was the only time I was number 5.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was an internal debate on what I was going to go with, but I'm like, we'll go with that one because that is how I know you two gentlemen.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for being here today. As you can see, I've got to the privilege of decking out all of my cupboards and trying to get you in the best mindset possible to talk hoops for the next hour or so.
Completely surrounded by hoops of all types. No, it's brilliant. It's great, mate.
So 3 quick questions. We're going to start with you first. Michael, birthday?
27th of August, 1978.
I'm 28, so boom. Birthplace?
Box Hill.
First championship?
1997, my first SEABL year at Dandenong Rangers.
Very nice. And Rigby, same to you. Birthday?
May the 1st, 78.
Birthplace?
Greensboro.
And best concert you've ever been to?
The top 3 or 4 are all Metallica.
Okay, well, there we go. We've got the music. That is the music out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is hoops. First of all, probably a lot of the questions I'm going to have are more going to be about how well you two know each other, because you played for a lot of clubs together.
Probably a bit. I think we know each other a little too well.
Yeah, there was some teams, there was some housemates, there was
So Cameron, what was the first team you two played together on?
Together would have been the 01 Knox team.
Yep.
Yeah, the back half of the ABA season,
Okay.
CBA, whatever it was called back then.
And now you're both NBL and SEABL veterans.
Polite way of saying old, yes.
Yep. Stalwarts. Michael, how many teams? Can you name all the teams that Cameron has played for?
Yeah, I'll give it a crack. Are we talking college? Any team?
Well,
to keep it straight,
so I think we'll keep it pretty focused NBL and SEABL for
okay.
tonight. But I mean, well, college.
Well, I'm going to say he's a Diamond Valley Eagles junior. I played against him.
Yep.
He played at Ballarat in SEABL.
We can actually see that just over your right shoulder there. I think that is the only Cameron Rigby poster. Him in the background of the day fleece.
Yep. The goatee. He was known for the goatee back in the day. Went to college, came back, played with myself at Knox. Played with myself at Canberra from 01 to 03. Played with the Hunter Pirates.
For all of about 5 minutes.
I'm going to try. He played. I'm going to go NBL, then I'm going to go back to SEABL. Then he went to Wollongong. Did you finish up Wollongong?
Yeah, came back. Yeah.
Yep. SEABL teams played at Bendigo.
Championship.
I reckon won a championship with myself. We won in 07.
Seven.
Yeah, I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing a SEABL team somewhere.
Just one.
So hang on. So just recap which ones? We've got on Bendigo, Knox, Dandenong.
Bendigo, Knox. No, he didn't play Dandenong. So he played at the Hawks, Wollongong Hawks. Did you play Dandenong? Did you? You did?
3, 4.
I knew I was missing. You did too.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm
And-
sorry. I should have.
No,
I felt like I knew it better, but
No, keep
apparently
going.
no.
Keep going.
And was it? There's more.
I lose count. Yeah, shit, yeah.
Yeah. So now, so we've got Knox,
Yep.
Bendigo, Dandenong,
Ballarat.
Ballarat, Hobart,
Yeah.
Hobart. Yes, I should know that. I went down.
and you won a grand final MVP for one. Did you get that one?
That was dandy. There was back-to-back grand final MVPs.
Oh, there you go.
1-1, lost one.
Did you? He didn't get that team yet, has he?
No.
Jeez.
Is that the last one we missed, or was it another one?
When you say, "Oh no," every team you've said you played for, I'll go, "Yeah, you did too."
Small town.
Small town.
Victorian?
Just.
Jeez.
North.
Wasn't Albury because I played there. You didn't play there.
Further west. Along the same river.
Mildura?
Mildura.
You played Mildura?
Yeah, one season.
Jeez, you got around.
Yes, I
And
did.
you went to
too.
the conference title that year. 05, wasn't it? I believe.
Around then. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Jeez,
But did you go to the national championships that year? Because that was the year Bendigo won it. Because I thought, my research showed that it was
No,
05.
we lost conference granny to Geelong,
Oh, but
and
you-
I think Bendigo beat them the following week. I think.
We didn't actually meet them in the playoffs.
Or did both go to both?
That was the last ever ABA title.
Right.
Because Bendigo beat Sydney in the final, Sandringham in the semis, and Cairns in the quarters.
Yep.
Yep, there you go. So there we go. Quick backstory on your career, but I didn't want to go too deep. And I thought we could go back and work all the way through and do the standard interview style, but it's going to be a bit interactive, so you've got to be patient with me with some of the multimedia stuff. But
in about 3 beers, you'll need to be patient with us.
Seriously.
that's
exactly
fine.
right.
But we are going to whack into your very early NBL careers. Cameron, you finished third in Rookie of the Year playing for Canberra.
Yeah.
This was your first NBL stint together.
Not that I'm bitter about it, but I had better stats than the guys that came first and second.
Can you tell us about this possession, Mr. Rigby? Hopefully the sound works. If it doesn't, let me...
Oh, this is quarter 3.
The next highlight. Yeah.
Quarter 3?
So who's got the ball? What's the go?
I hide in the corner. Magic gets the ball on the block.
Who's Fetty?
Goes middle. No look to me. Seriously, one of the best highlights of my career is the fact that Magic Johnson passes me the ball. Seriously, no look to the corner.
Who's that? Who's number 9 there?
That'll be Michael.
was
And
you?
on the replay, I've watched it 3,000 times, has his hands up as it's about to go in. So he's got faith that it looks all right.
That's right.
It's still insane to think about the fact that we were there.
That can be found on the YouTubes, and there's a great oral history that can also be found, which is a fun read, actually. But do you guys want to tell us a little bit about how that game came about? So you're both on Canberra. Was this your first season in the league or second?
Second. It was in between. It was actually in the pre-season of the second.
It was a couple of games in.
Couple of games in.
Yeah.
No, it's in the game was, but I remember when we got told.
Yep.
It was maybe 3 or 4 months, 2 or 3 months prior to that. It would have been pre-season.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were training at Tuggeranong at Canberra, and I remember Cal came out, or maybe CJ came out.
Don't know if you noticed this little subtle touch here on top there.
Black Pearl.
Yep. He was
Came out and said,
he was your coach at the time.
Cal Britton was our coach.
Yep.
CJ, his son, was on the team. Now, the story behind it is Dave Thomas and Mike Chappelle, who played on our team as our Americans, their agent was Magic's lawyer.
And
That's the connection.
They both played Michigan State.
They both played Michigan State, so there's a connection there, not only with the agent, but also the college, the university.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out and said, look, Magic plays a charity game to raise funds for the university once a year. He picks a team to play with.
Mm-hmm.
They would like you guys to be the team. And we just went, oh,
There's no
shit.
way.
There's no way.
So
We just we're in shock, and we're like, this is not. Basically, it's not going to happen until I'm on the plane.
So was that because of a connection with him and Cal? Like, because they were old mates, or what?
No,
Yeah. Every year, the current college team played an exhibition game against former Spartans and their current pro team.
Yep.
And we had 2 recent graduates.
Yep.
So they got in touch and organised it. We had a bye on that particular week.
Yep.
Okayed it with the league. We heard
I've
about
got a
it.
feeling they might have shuffled some games just to
Maybe.
Make it
put a
happen.
10 or 15 day gap.
Yeah.
Well, it's good promotion for the league anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
The best thing about it, I remember, is we played West Sydney, who were tough. They were really tough, and we played. That was after or before. Anyway, we had 2 tough games.
They would have Rucker really
Adelaide.
and
That
Dwight.
Rucker,
Adelaide,
Aaron Dwight, really, they were stacked.
Probably
We
Ziggy
won
Mazzarri?
both games. We won both games either side. Cal was worried about us being distracted,
Yep.
and we were. But we had a squad that year. We had a really good
the
young
training
squad.
session before we left.
Yep.
It was shoot around. I think it was Adelaide. It might be wrong, but we had a shoot around, and he was so focused on, your mind's not on the trip. Don't focus on the trip. We've got to play tonight. And he was wearing the warm up for the trip.
That was Cal. That's Cal in a nutshell.
It was focus. Like don't let your minds wander. Yeah, we're going away next week, but focus on tonight.
Cal's brain was on the plane already.
And it was one of the 1,000 funny things that come out of Canberra. But that trip was absolutely insane.
So you guys ended up having a decent year that year with Canberra.
We had a really good squad. We went to Sydney and they won the championship that year.
Yeah.
And we beat them. I know CJ, when I played with him after that, and he said that Gorge moulded his teams around our team.
Yep.
Everyone was 6'5" to 6'9", interchangeable in positions. There was no centre. There was no true point guard. I mean, CJ was probably he's 6'1"-ish.
Yeah.
He was probably the closest to a true point guard, but everyone was a sort of 2-3 swingman, stretch four, before there were stretch fours, to my left. And the club went broke halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame. We had a team that could have gone on to do really, really good things.
And that was the last season Cal coached.
The oldest person on the team. The oldest person on the team was CJ at 25. And at the time, I was 23, 24, and I thought that's kind of veteran. I look back now, we're all young, super young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that group, we won 12 or 13 games out of 15 or 6. We're like 12 and 4 at home.
Yeah.
And that's what young teams do. You win at home. You don't know how to win on the road.
Yep.
But give that team another year or two together. It could have been a good squad, but we'll never know.
I'm going to tell you a quick story about why we're talking about Magic Johnson.
Yeah,
I got 4 minutes that game.
That squad, but
I got 4 minutes that game. I didn't play a whole lot of minutes. And I remember I was sitting. I was at the end of the bench, and then there was a seat spare, and then there was Larry Johnson, who is Magic's brother. Anyway, so Magic gets subbed off. We're up by 20 at the time. We absolutely belt top 10 team Michigan, and Magic sits next to me. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what to say to this guy. This guy's a legend. I'm like, enjoying the game? And he just goes, yeah, man. I mean, he just loved it. It was just, for him to come in and play with a team that all he knew we were a scrub team. He had no idea how good we were.
yeah.
And we absolutely gave it to Michigan, who were ranked 10th.
You won by 20 odd, didn't you?
We won by 20, and they were ranked.
Yep.
They were ranked 10th in the nation at the time.
And Ballinger ended up coming out and playing for Adelaide. He was on that team.
Yep.
I think they had, was it Maurice Ager, or was it, they had a couple of guys who had a little stint in the NBA, I noticed. Alan Anderson, perhaps. Something like
Possibly,
that.
yeah.
Tell us about one of the passes that Magic was zipped that was a little...
How do you know about that? Someone's been feeding you some information. This is a bit shoot around.
Explain, please.
Well,
Magic's one of the best passes of all time. You've got to be ready when the ball's going to come, right?
Look, the narrative before the game and shoot around was, it's Magic Johnson, you've got to have your hands ready and be ready to go.
Yep.
And I can't give you the specifics. Cam probably give you the specifics of it, but I remember shoot around and Magic's sort of falling around and Cam's cutting to the hoop. And I wasn't looking at the ball as much as he should have, didn't have his hands up, but it hit him straight in the noggin. Am I thereabouts?
Yeah,
Well,
there's a little bit of mustard on the story.
It's a decent size. It's a decent target, though.
Yeah, fair target. Took it off the shoulder, actually.
Okay.
Shoot around. Literally, we all talked about like who's going to be the first one to catch a no look in the face. we shoot around and we're walking through the end of one of our plays, and Magic's like right in front of the basket, and I'm following in for what I think is a rebound. He just tosses it over his shoulder, like he's in front of me, about to lay it up, and just throws it over his shoulder. And I took it. It just missed the enormous head that I've got. I just took it off the shoulder, and that was enough. And the story was born out of that. But I fumbled the first no look. Unfortunately.
And how was the rest of the trip? Was there a bit of champagning and campaigning afterwards,
Well,
as Jalen would say?
Yeah, so we won the game by 20. We were on a high. Magic's sitting in our change room. I'm not kidding you, for an hour and a half signing jerseys.
Yep.
We had Converse weapons that we'd bought over there for him to sign. He was awesome. He was really good. He not only did that, he went into the Michigan State change room.
Yep.
Gave them a pep talk because they just got beaten by an Australian team by 20.
Yeah.
So they're thinking, geez, we're going to pull our heads in here, After the game, we go back to the hotel. Magic comes back to our hotel. Now, our hotel was sitting on the edge of campus, right across the road from the fraternities and sororities. Mm. We played on the Friday night. Thursday night was Halloween. Nuts. It's freezing cold there. Freezing cold.
Yeah.
It's Halloween at Michigan State University, and our game's the next night. So we couldn't have a big night or anything. But it was nuts.
Had a bit of a look, though.
It was unbelievable. The atmosphere was unbelievable. So after the game, Magic comes back. We've got this like hall. It's like a conference room, function room, and it was just party. We just partied. We partied so hard. We had to go down to Indianapolis and play Butler University.
The next night.
Yeah.
In the stadium, they filmed Hoosiers, which is a big hangar.
What a trip! Like Magic Johnson one night, Hoosiers the next.
So we're as hungover as 10 men the next day.
Yeah.
We take 6 hours. It should have taken us 4. We took 6 hours to get there. We got lost.
Jammed in little vans.
Cal's pissed off because we're hungover, even though he's partying with us.
Not focused.
Yeah, not focused. Yeah. We played. We are sitting in the dungeon change room, and they've cranked the heater up to like 50 in the Celsius. We're sweating in this change room. We get out and play the game, and we just beat the top 10 team in the nation the night before.
Yeah.
It was pretty obvious to us within 10 minutes of the game, we were not going to win that game. The referees were just not going to let us win.
Yeah. Trap games, they call it.
And we were.
Cam, you'd want to tell Trent how you got fouled out. Do you remember how you got fouled out that game?
I remember I did. I remember
he got 5 offensive fouls. That's how bad the refs were that game.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
I can picture the way you would walk to the bench too. The half head down shake.
But Butler at the time, they would run. There was a 35-second shot clock. We'd beaten Michigan the night before on a high.
Yep.
We drunk 1,000 drinks the night before.
Yeah.
6-hour travel. We got to the game maybe half an hour, 45 minutes before the game. And they ran the 35-second shot clock to 33 and a half seconds every single time. Yeah. And then they had a bunch of shooters. They just run triple screens and hit shooters at the end of the shot clock.
Yeah.
They just wore us out. They only beat us by 4 or 5 in the end.
It was a close, ugly grind of a mid-50s game.
Terrible game.
This would have been before Brad Stevens era too, wouldn't it?
Just before, yeah.
Yeah,
just
cool.
before.
Jesus Christ.
Mate, there was Magic. Larry, his brother, was like, he lived in East Lansing, I think. But anyway, he didn't own the strip club, but he was there all the time. So he knew all the strippers. So we had to like...
He took us there Tuesday night? Wednesday night?
There were like 10 strippers at this party.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry. Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
And the massive conference room downstairs was the big function.
Yep.
But there was a VIP room on the first floor, which food and booze just for players and invited guests. Basically, players had a wristband, and the only people in there were players and strippers. And the two ex-football players on the door, big as a house, literally let no one in.
Right. So that's Magic Johnson. Yeah. Okay, so we've gone straight to... Sorry, as I dropped my book. We've gone straight to the career highlight. Well, what I would guess. But can you actually explain... tell us about the teams that you've both played on together, and how many championships have you won together?
01 we came second.
Yep.
We won one in 07.
In Bendigo together, we won one in 07.
And then won the whole thing in 09.
At Knox, back at Knox, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you've played with many great players, which we'll get into soon, but to be...
But on that quote, it was right. I bounced around a fair bit. And I got paid, which technically means...
To be recruited together, though, does that mean you're a package deal when it comes to the SEABL?
It's funny, the whole thing about that, right? So, I'm going to... Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Bendigo?
Yep.
Wayne... Did they recruit you or me?
Larkins.
Yeah, Wayne Larkins recruited me, and they're looking for an American.
Yep.
And Cam was free. I'm pretty sure this is the way it went.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I said, you need to get Cam. In 09, I was actually meant to play in Brisbane. And for personal circumstances, I had to come back to Melbourne.
Yep.
And Simon Brookhouse, who was the CEO at Knox then, they'd already recruited Cam. They were going to get another, not an American or an Australian, and he said, you need to get Mick. So it was actually, we played together because of each other. Both times, it was reverse roles both times.
Yeah, and that Knox team, there you go. It was, we were just out of the league, so we weren't considered restricted players anymore.
Yeah.
So we figured out we had 2 imports, the 2 of us, and a smart point guard.
And Johnny Phillip. There's also an NBL guy.
There was a sneaky little pick-up towards the end.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to another question, Cam, in regards to your NBL career.
Yeah.
So, obviously started off red hot playing against Magic Johnson. Canberra Cannons, 3rd in Rookie of the Year. Who won it that year?
Travis Lane from Sydney, and Kane Oakley from Cairns was runner-up.
Oh, yes. He was in that team.
I'll chip in here and say, look, Trav, I think won it because he was playing for Sydney. He got a lot of exposure and playing for the Kings.
That was playing for the Fox Sports Kings.
Yeah.
There was 3 or 4 in a row. It was Wertho, it was Trav, it was not Rowdy.
Now, back then they only had a Saturday night game and a Wednesday night game they'd show on Fox Sports.
Yeah.
And they were in Sydney Kings, because the Fox Sports are based out of Sydney,
Yeah.
they would get most of the games.
Yeah.
And the money in the league was dead, so they wouldn't travel media anywhere.
Yeah.
And it was just whoever the Kings are playing.
Yeah.
And it was Carfino, and it was King centric.
Yeah, so I do
But
recall.
whatever. It was funny. I bumped into Trav Lane a few times since.
Yeah.
And I had a clause in my contract that if I won Rookie of the Year, I'd make a few extra grand.
Yeah.
And every time I saw him, I said, "You owe me." So I never paid for a beer whenever Trav was around.
No, that's nice. So I'll just to go through some of the clubs.
Some.
So you with Brisbane, you said you were coming back to Melbourne. Cam, you actually signed to go to Brisbane that year, and we heard D-Mac on the podcast with the NBL boys say that he was also going to go up, but then the team folded.
That's right.
So if we look back,
that's right.
and there is an article here, and I'm not going to quote your exact. Well, actually, I will. I've been involved in a couple of NBL teams going bankrupt or ceasing to exist. So we've had Hunter Pirates, West Sydney Razorbacks, Canberra Cannons, Brisbane. Do you think you weren't signed after that just because teams were fearing that they were going to fold if you were on the roster?
Maybe. I can guarantee it wasn't because they were paying me too much. But nothing to do with the structure of it. No, it's part of it was the nature of the league.
But what a series of unfortunate circumstances there.
Yeah, it was a part of the reason I got out when I did. Is it wasn't that I was body was beat up. I just got sick of the merry-go-round.
Yeah, right.
The league had bottomed out financially, and just got sick of chasing that next 6 months. Could only see like 6 or 12 months ahead.
Yep.
And a few of us that were. Well, part of it was the point system as well. Those of us who weren't superstars and weren't struggling new bodies got squeezed out of the league.
The mid-range guys, so for example, I was an 8-point player if I left Brisbane.
Yep.
I was competing with almost imports at that point system.
Yep.
If I stayed in Brisbane, I was a 5.
Yeah.
So they tried to reward loyalty.
Yep.
So like Andrew Gaze, he would stay as a 5, even though he was still one of the best players in the league.
Yep.
So as an 8-point player, no team wanted to pick me up because they didn't have the point or the cap space.
Yeah, sure.